Hello, everyone. Which is harder, writing prose or dialogue? Well, in general, I would say writing dialogue is easier. That doesn't mean it's easy, but it's easier typically because it mimics more how we speak. It comes more naturally to us. It certainly comes more naturally to me to write dialogue because even though my dialogue is often poetic and heightened, it still has a rhythm that matches more how we speak. So I still find it easier. In general, sometimes if um, if I'm trying to work on a key monologue, then sometimes I can be stumped by a dialogue passage just as much as any prose passage. So it's not that dialogue doesn't stump me; it does stump me, but just not as often. Um, However, probably the kind of dialogue that I struggle with the most is when two characters first come into a room and they're trying to make small talk, because I'm not good at small talk myself, and because it can feel jarring if two characters just start talking about something serious. So sometimes I'll try to transition into them talking about something serious, and this can especially be true early on in the story. Later in the story, small talk isn't as necessary, but early on in the story, it does require some small talk, and making that transition sound natural, that can be difficult. And so I would say in general, dialogue is easier, but it isn't always easy. And now prose is harder mainly because it doesn't come as naturally. We speak all the time, so that does come naturally to us, but prose, you have to be in a certain state of mind, and it requires more detail when you're trying to describe something. Um, it's more akin to painting in some way. Not that you can't paint with dialogue, but the flow tends to be more natural because it is closer to how we speak. Whereas whereas prose is far more like a painting where you're trying to be very precise and very calculated. Therefore, it doesn't always flow as naturally. It's more precise. And so it's more difficult for that reason. So, in general, dialogue is easier, but that doesn't mean that I also don't struggle with it as well.